Alrighty, we have our first map loaded on up at the map of 2000 atmospheres. Let's go ahead and get this series started. Spawning at the bottom left, we have our blue Zerg playing for the team of Kai Z Gaming. Give it up for Korea's own Solar.
And his opponent, in the top right hand corner instead from Shopify Rebellion, the man, the legend, it's Byun.
And you know, I don't know if it's just me or not, but it feels like these players has been, specifically Byun and Solar, has been playing a lot against each other recently. Maybe I'm just like imagining it, but it feels like they've been matched up like in like a lot of ESL Open Cup tournaments, because I think both of these players participate in a lot of those ESL Open tournaments.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly about that. These are two players that are extremely active in the scene overall, participating in tons and tons of online tournaments. And honestly, it makes for some really interesting matchups between the two. I do feel like both of them have developed such a different playstyle to what it used to be for them. And it's always a pleasure to see them fighting against each other.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing against a player that often, you have to wonder if they can, if they kind of test each other out with different builds, because of course they're very familiar with each other's playstyle, or whether they just kind of stick it to the standard gameplay or not. And we'll have to find out as this series progresses along. But in the meantime, pretty much a normal opening. Both players are respecting one another.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only thing that's a little bit different. It's just the overload positioning from Solar. Sending it not on the usual pillar, not checking on the first units, not checking on the high ground, on the ramp of Byun. Just sending it tucked behind the main base of Byun in a really awkward position, to be honest. I'm not gonna scout a lot with this unless you get overload speed or unless you turn it into an overseer. Both things shouldn't really happen very soon, so I'm kind of surprised of this kind of scouting.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Looks like he is gonna go ahead and fly his overlord right in, see what's up. We'll automatically see a their command center as that is plotted down right below him, and it looks like he's doing a little bit of a dance there with overlord.
Yeah, that's some really good scouting information, pretty much free for him to grab. And honestly, getting it immediately when he pops down should give Solar a lot of time to grit something out of his own.
So unfortunately, guys, we do not read Korean, so not quite. We don't quite know what these guys are saying, but I would imagine a little bit of a banter.
I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but that's all I can tell you guys. Alright, Byun sending out a couple Hellions alongside the Reaper just to be a little bit annoying overall. Not gonna expect some crazy amount of damage out of this. The Queens are slightly out of position, to be honest. It's not a lot of units. It's not gonna happen much. It's gonna get a little bit of scouting information. That's gonna be it. We have a Viking on the way, almost completed, for Byun to shoo away these overloads and get some privacy on these lone. But for the time being, as we were saying, both players are kind of just grading it out. You can see the double NG Bay being popped down by Byun, and Solar is not really afraid to just pump out drones and queens for the time being.
Yeah, with getting that scout on that third command center, he knows that he can pretty much drone without not having to worry too much about any like huge big incoming attacks, and that's the smart move. You know, there's only two ways you want to respond to a greedy Terran like that. It's either to do a big timing push, or you go ahead and macro yourself.
I love this double Evo chamber from Solar in the wall, pity that no queen was there to stop these aliens from getting in. Of course, it's not gonna matter too much. There were a lot of lanes for defense, so nothing is gonna happen. But the double Evo chamber is always a good answer to a Terran player that is not really focusing too much on getting early units. So either going to go for a timing or going to go for something greedy. The double Evo chamber being plopped down before the lair, it's always something good. We see a little bit of an earlier Painling nest on the side of Solar. There are some defensive units as early as possible. But as always, as soon as that lair is going to complete, we're gonna see centrifugal hooks, aka Painling speed, being researched by Solar. It's actually taking his 4th base. And honestly, there's not much to threaten it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit kind of a little bit weirded out to see that the layer is that late, but you know what? He can get away with it. There really isn't any danger to worry about. So I really like Solar's kind of response in terms of just being extra greedy himself as well, not only in the macro end, but also at the tech end. Looks like he will finally start that centrifugal hooks.
Yeah, he's gonna be pretty much almost on par with Byun on upgrades for the vast majority of the game, and that can honestly matter a lot. Tanks are definitely not going to be too much of a problem if Solar manages to keep their count low enough with his good upgrades. And honestly, he can also deal a lot of damage with the run-bys if he desires to. Of course, everything has to pass before this first timing attack out of Byun. He's kind of scared with an armory being up and 5 Elbats being added to the mix. Unit's gonna try to strike at the 4th base of Solar, sorry. Gonna get a lot of damage on these hatcheries. The Banelings are running through. They're not fast Banelings, but it's not a lot of space to run away for Byun. Perfect surround overall for Solar. Gonna get... Oh, no tanks actually. Oh yes, he's gonna get 1 tank. And lose only 4 drones for this. And with an infestation pit being popped down, Solar is in pretty good shape, but I'm sure Byun was not expecting this to be exactly deadly.
Yeah, a good defense there by Solar. He is going to go ahead and do the little stuff that is going to help him later on in terms of spreading creep, taking down that the rock as well to free up the surface area in which he can kind of surround and flank the tank as well as the Marines. Looks like on the Byun side though, he is going to go ahead and look to kind of recede the creep there a little bit here and there. Although Solar is doing a really great job spreading it kind of in throughout all directions.
Absolutely no flank being prepared in advance this time. There's still a lot of units for Solar. And I do think he's gonna send some units out on the left side. Yes, he is sending a lot of lanes on that side, on that path. +2/+2 halfway through for both players actually. And Hive incoming as well as a Lurker then. Solar is dropping down tech like there's no tomorrow. And Byun honestly not desperate to deal damage, but adding some Liberators to the mix. Definitely a wise choice in this situation.
Yeah, one of the weaknesses of Lurkers is that they can't shoot up into the air, so Liberators a pretty good choice, kind of helping zone out along with the kind of tank zoning, as well as you know, if you can combine the tank range as well as get the Liberator upgrade for the range, man, that is quite annoying to deal with. But looks like Byun, though, for the meantime, gonna go ahead and abuse this cliff area, has the tanks in the lower ground. Let's see how Solar deals with this.
Starting to look like Byun is sending a lot of units out unprotected. Solar doesn't really manage to get a good surface area on these clump of Marines, and there's not a lot of Banelings for defense over here. The army of Solar is caught between a rock and a hard place, and Byun is steaming forward onto creep. This archery is in serious trouble now. Banelings halfway through, lots of lanes sent to their depths. Medivac still full on energy. They can heal back these Marines. Lots of Banelings trying to morph through. The split are not exactly perfect, but there's a lot of tanks to keep these Banelings away. And it's gonna be a win for Byun with Solar not managing to sneak his tech through.
Alright, looks like a pretty normal opening, which kind of also surprises me a little bit because Solar has a kind of a history, and he's kind of notorious for handling early cheeses not quite well. he's
Yeah.
there are Zerg players that handle early game cheeses pretty well, like let's say Rogue or even Dark. But Solar, he's one of those Zerg players that somehow doesn't fare well in those early game cheeses scenarios. And I was thinking like maybe Byun would kind of bring that out, especially since he's more of an aggressive kind of player. But interestingly enough, Byun not quite doing so. Gonna play pretty standard openings for these first two games.
There's a lot of way to be aggressive, and Solar is a very greedy player. He's one of those Zerg players who tries to get to 66 drones as fast as possible and then drops down tech like crazy. It's one of those Zergs that it's hard to keep under control once they get going. And Byun is one of those players instead that once they get in your face, they never stop being aggressive with their plays. So I'm also kind of surprised Glittering Ashes is a decent map to sneak something through, but I'm not necessarily sold that Byun hasn't something in store for us whenever he wants to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit cheeky with some proxy structures maybe.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, we do see some Marines kind of doing some Overlord hunting. Unfortunately for him, Solar does have his Overlord well tucked and hidden on top of that cliff area. Or, I don't know what you call that, but on top of that little island of sorts.
Yeah. Pillar? I don't know.
Yeah, pillar. That's the word.
I mean, they're talking a lot. I don't know what they're saying, but they sure are going at it. We see again a pretty early third command center from Byun. It's not like you can get these early. It's still pretty early. It's almost as early as you can get it. And that means Byun either wants to just get a stream of units going through at a certain time mark, like he did in the first game, or he wants to just outgrid Solar. You can do both, to be honest, but at a certain point you have to do something about the Zerg player trying to aggro you, and I'm positive Byun is going to go for it pretty much around the 7-minute mark, maybe even earlier for a little bit of a timing attack, but then going really at it a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll see if he does go for that 7-minute timing or so. In the meantime, he's gonna send the 4 Hellions just to harass a bit, which is what you want to do. You want to make sure if you can kind of get any like creep tumors, or if you see some like some scouter lings being sent out, you can kind of intercept that. Maybe even see the queen is out of position, you can kind of blow past it, get into the natural, and get some drones that way. But it looks like Solar does have good vision across the map, so he will be able to kind of set up his queens at the right position. But in the meantime, this Overlord will go ahead and get sniped down. And did he see anything? Let me see here.
He didn't see much. He saw the units, and that prompted him into dropping down the double Evo chamber like he did in the previous game. I do feel like that's some really good game sense on the side of Solar. Immediately sees Marines, he says, yes, I can drop down the double Evo chambers. I'm not afraid of it. And now he has some queens pretty much, as you were saying, in position to deal with his aliens. So, drones pulled, queens in position, and the aliens will not get past the crypt defense that Solar has put up.
Yeah, so pretty much kind of almost a similar game, or at least the same opening as last time. In the previous game, where both players are just gonna play very passively, kind of just macro up, get their tech as well. As you can see, the Lear just started as well, throwing down the Baneling's Nest. So we'll see if Solar can handle the attacks from Byun better compared to the previous game.
Both players are really gritting it out. Like, that lair was really early for the amount of tech that Solar is dropping down. Giving lots and lots of drones on Vespin. As I was saying before, you can see it in the bottom side of your screens. 66 workers. And then Solar just starts going at it. Tech upon tech upon tech upon tech. He has all the pieces he can get so far, ongoing, in his production tab. And Byun, pretty much the same. He's really greening it out. He's getting a lot of production value out of this in a little while. But for the time being, that's a really greedy build.
Yeah, pretty greedy by both of these players. But it looks like Byun is starting to ready to get to attack here at the at least in the left side. And here we go. Can the Banelings connect? It looks like Byun is going to go ahead and kite back and will escape.
Yeah, the micro potential that 2 Medivacs and a bunch of Marines have in the hands of Byun, it's honestly, it never ends, surprises me. It's just amazing to see Byun just kite backwards Banelings and never get a hit. You can see Marines trading so efficiently into this, and then 2 full Medivacs ready to fly away, waiting for a tank to join the fray. And Byun reducing the amount of Banelings, forcing a lot of Vespene gas out of Solar. You can see Solar doesn't have a lot of Vespene available, doesn't have a lot of Banelings available. He has a lot of tech being dropped down, but he has to defend. As I was saying before, being greedy has its costs, and now Solar needs to defend not that much of a strong army. Oh my god, mother of Baneling connections. Yeah, as soon as I said it, of course Byun blunders his micro completely.
It's the caster curse, my man. It's the caster curse. But you know what? You weren't wrong. I mean, Solar was significantly down in the army supply. He still is, by the way. But, you know, it really comes down to those Baneling connections. If he can get it, then he should be safe enough. And this was a scary time because, like you said, he was throwing down his tech buildings, his Hydralisk den, his Lurker den. I was about to say, I don't think this is quite the right time to be getting that, as this incoming attack from Byun looks pretty scary. But with that Baneling connection, he does buy himself a little bit more extra time.
So, be honest here, that Baneling connection should never have happened. That's a major blunder on the side of Byun. He needs to do much better than that. And now Solar, all of a sudden, he has quite enough Banelings for this defense, and he's still dropping down tech like crazy. He has a hive incoming, with +2/+2 almost completed. Upgrades for Hydras, Groove Spines in the making. Byun is pumping out unit after unit, but he needs to make something happen. I like how he's keeping creep spread pretty much on check. Solar cannot really get a good flank positioning without some scouting forward, and that's really a good thing for Byun. But the army of Byun is not really looking that massively scary.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of slowed down on the army production. I mean, right now he's the one that is trailing behind in the army supply, when just a minute ago he was leading the army supply count. And this is a good news for Solar because, you know,
Vipers.
yeah, not only Vipers but also the Lurkers. If you can kind of do the combo of Lurkers and Vipers, that is going to be pretty deadly for Byun.
Yeah, Byun smells that trouble is in the air, and he's gonna go for an all-out attack. I wouldn't really call this an all-in, but it's getting very close to that. This cliff area is amazing for tanks, but marching forward with these Marines is a different story. Solar going in for the full surround, and that's a lot of Banelings for this. Banelings coming from left and right onto these Marines. All the tanks are gonna get cleared, and it's just Marines kiting backwards. Yes, Banelings are out of creep, but what's there right now for Byun? Solar can get aggressive, can wait it out. He has Vipers incoming, he has Adrenaline Glands incoming. He doesn't really need to make something happen. He knows he's gonna have the better army very soon. And Byun, pretty much in a desperate spot right now.
Yeah, I mean, the tank the tank count got resetted. And there's no ghost to speak of. He does have Liberators, some Liberators, but not a ton. And once those Lurkers get morphed in, and you combine that again with the Viper, it's just going to be really hard for Byun to kind of deal with and to defend. So Byun might want to go ahead and start getting into the really aggressive drop harassment in order to buy himself enough time to get those ghosts out. But it looks like Solar is not going to go ahead and wait for it. He is going to dive right in.
So many Vipers with energy plenty to abduct away the Liberators and then drop down the blinding clouds on the tanks. The army of Byun is getting annihilated by the good old Swiss army knife of Zerg. Ling Bane Hydra is all that it takes if you have some good Viper control. The Planetary Fortress is gonna try to keep the dream alive for Byun. It's not looking that great with 16 workers falling down. Solar, he cannot really end the game right here, right now, but he's sending link after link after link out. And most of the key units of Byun have been absolutely destroyed by this attack of Solar. The Vipers, I think they're just collecting some more energy back home and they're ready to strike again.
Yeah, it looks like 26 more Banelings here being morphed in, and this might be the final attack. There is not a lot here on the ground for Byun. His tanks are, you know, quite in the backside, and this leaves the Planetary absolutely vulnerable. Not only the Planetary, but that Ghost Academy, which you'll desperately need to keep alive, as there are lurkers available if Solar decides to go for it. But here we go. Bangs roll in right into the mineral line. We'll go ahead and blow up on that Planetary, and I think this just might be it.
Deal some energy on those Vipers to get some more stuff going. If Solar decides to again tank count reset, the Planetary goes down, 11 workers go down. And you know what? I'm seeing these on the right, and that's a little bit late for that Byun. Concussive shells completed in the 13th minute mark. You kind of wanted that a little bit earlier, especially with so few Banelings being in the army of Solar for the vast majority of the game, and I'm sure that Byun will adapt that in the future games, but this game is looking to go in favor of Solar, almost certainly.
Oh yeah, he is. He's up ahead by about 60 or so total supply here, so Byun has a huge hole to dig himself out of, and looks like finally we had the Vipers. Oh, actually, he did have the Vipers in the last game, but they are finally recharging the energy. More blinding clouds being thrown down all the tanks. Bane is going to roll right into this huge mineral line, and there we have it. GG is called, and Solar, he's going to tie up the series. Alrighty, without further ado, this guy here at the top left with a pretty solid win in the previous game, looking to repeat that. Can he do it? It is Kai's Gaming's Solar.
Ooh. His opponent in the red instead, from Shopify Rebellion. He's looking to shift the momentum again on his side. Can he do it? Can he get to match point? It is Byun.
Oh man, this is not just only an early pool, Akontistes, but this is early pool with 2 gases.
Yeah, this is honestly really surprising. I was seeing this early pool and I was thinking, yeah, it's a big map. You want just the early pool and you want to defend with it. And now I see a Roach Warren.
Wow.
And 2 gas being taken. The good old Ravager rush, I guess. Perligard is kind of huge though.
But you know, if he can maybe send a drone in the middle to... it looks like he's not even gonna. I guess he's just gonna go ahead and just travel and circumvent the blocked mineral lines there. But you know what? Luckily for him, Byun has not scouted him. I think he kind of sees that or recognized that in the previous games where Byun scouting wasn't really, you know, up to par, wasn't really sharp. There was no urgency in sending him sending an early SCB, and so Solar is going to try to take advantage of this. Now, the SCB of Byun will go ahead and see. Ooh, no hatchery. What's going on?
Yeah, and now it's where. Wait a second. Yeah, exactly. Byun, yeah, you couldn't have given me a better moment than this, and Solar is just laughing it out. 2 Ravagers morphing in the middle of this ramp over here for Solar. And Byun is just, what do I do now? He's adding up tech, he's adding up a factory, he wants to get a tech lab and then a starport to have a Banshee and destroy this attack out of Solar. Of course, this one bunker is also going to help, but keeping it repaired, it's going to be complicated against Ravager piles. Here comes the Ravagers. Will this command center complete? Yes, it will. It will probably just be lifted up in the air to produce SCVs in the main base. Wait a second, the wall is kind of open right now. This is not looking that good for Byun. This is surprising, not having a tech lab out over there. It's kind of weird. The Cyclone is in the making to try and make up for the lack of a starport. But now, this bunker being slightly arranged by the piles, one of the Ravagers going down is going to be a problem. Of course, the SCVs staying alive is all that matters. And now, all that we have is Solar sending pretty much 3 roaches at a time out. And is he going to be enough? Ravager piles raining from the sky. And is it going to be a dead bunker? No, it isn't. Not going to be dead Ravagers either. The lock-on goes on to the Overload, the most important piece of this attack. And it looks like this is going to be GG.
Trap Lord Ban Zero in the live chat saying Solar will win this map and then throw the next one.
Yeah, he likes to throw his best of 5 series just at the last moment. That's something we all know and love about Solar. But Byun has been looking pretty clean. He's a micro deep blunder just in that second game. And I'm feeling like if he manages to not do some outstanding mistakes, like in that scenario, it's pretty much good to go. Solar is playing very greedily, and Byun looks to just be the best counter against a greedy Zerg.
Well, so far, it looks like no cheeses, of course, compared to the previous game. It looks like Solar has kind of learned his lesson.
Oh, but Byun is scouting a little bit more proactively this time. Gonna check for the hatchery in the natural. He's gonna see one making, and Solar is gonna say something back to him for that, probably.
Yeah, a lot of chat going back and forth. Unfortunately, we don't have Inu here, who usually would be our Korean translator, as he would usually, of course, stream over at the will basically be our Korean stream. But you know what? We will leave it up to imagination. For all I know, they're debating on whether pineapple can go on pizza or not.
Don't start this year. We have a Reaper out there for scouting. One of the scouting leans out of Solar is gonna get sniped. But again, as Snoopy was saying, not really much is happening around here this time. We don't see like that super early... Oh wait, yeah, never mind. Here it is. Command center being dropped down by Byun. And it's pretty much a repeat of the first 2 games of the series.
It looks like the Overlord will get into position on the pillar. Now, whether he flies right in to see that third command center is going to be something that we will see if Solar decides to go for it. But in the meantime, yep, pretty normal opening, 1-1-1 from Byun as well. So, oh, there he goes. He actually going to fly in the Overlord there. Does see that third command center. Huge scout.
Absolutely. Byun keeping his Reaper alive with exactly 1 health point. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, like exactly 1 health point. Oh, it almost happened again. Yeah, and it goes down at last.
Now, of course, this is the map where there is a gold base, so we will have to keep an eye out to see if that plays a factor into this game here. I would imagine that at least one of these guys, if it does, if the game prolongs further, that one of these guys will take the gold base, but which player will take it first? is going to be the question.
Like, this golden base is legit the only base that it's difficult to hold for the Xur player. Because of the ramp, and of course, it's not really the most open place. There's two pretty big choke points aside of the ramp. And then it's a pretty long way if you want to get a surround or something out there to see what is going on. And it's also very much closer to your opponent's main base than it is to yours. But every other base over here, it's very easy to hold, making this a very good map for Zerg, especially with the area in the middle being so outstandingly open. I do feel like Solar can really grit it out if he likes it. So Byun needs to make something happen like he did in the previous games. And honestly, this alien drop not looking like it can cut in the main.
Yeah, Solar had that on lockdown, had the Lings in position, as well as the Queens down in the dirt base area. And so it looks like Byun won't be able to barbecue any drones with these Hellions for the time being.
So we have Solar dropping down the Billion Nest, the Lair, and the +1/+1. Again, being super greedy. Trying to sneak out as many drones as possible with the amount of queens he has out. And we have Byun, sorry, on the other side, being slightly more aggressive with his aliens. He has more of them out there to try and get something going, get more creep tumors sniped. And with an armory incoming, I'm expecting some kind of timing similar to Game 1, sorry. With the Hellbats, tanks, and marines being added into the mix. He's not gonna have those concussive shells marauders to stop the Binlings before they can get good connections, but he's gonna have a lot of Hellbats in the front to tank those shots before they make it to the marines.
Alright, looks like Byun once again ready to move on out for that timing push. Now, of course, we have seen it not quite work out in, let's say, in the I think it was the first map. No, actually on the Glittering Ashes map. Let's see if Solar has better luck this time. Now, of course, last time Solar did have the Bane connection that did turn the momentum around. But here we go. Can you get the connections? Oh,
some
not quite.
pretty decent connections, but not decent enough, I will say. Queens transfusing each other back to full health. Byun did deal a lot of damage to the army of Solar, but again, gritting so much stuff out, he's now gonna have a lot of Banelings for the next defense. But I don't see Byun having that strong of an army yet. He's gonna add more Medivacs to the mix, he's gonna send another rally of Marines and another tank into the mix, and he's ready to strike again. Solar needs to step up this game for this defense with another tank being leapfrogged forward. The Queens are trying to deal with the Hellbats before the Lings and the Banelings can stream through. The connections are nothing sensational, but the tank shots definitely were really focused on top of those Banelings. Solar needs to back off for a little while, and now that's a lot of Marines alive over there, going at it on this archery on Red Elf. Another wave of Banelings goes through, kills a tank, but most of these Marines are still alive, and so is the energy in these Medivacs. Another wave of Banelings. Can he make it to these Marines? It doesn't really look like it. And now the tank is under threat, but not under threat enough. Shopify Rebellion Byun is gonna take the series.